Appreciate all you folks being here today. My name is Dr. Tom Hayhurst, and I'm here as one of the co-founders of Northeast Indiana Passenger Rail Association. It's an organization that was formed about a year ago by various individuals, and some of those folks are with me today. Fred Lanahan was one of the early co-founders. Fred heads up PTC board. There, Fred? And it's part of the City Link board. And Jeff Paddock's been a rail activist in our community for quite a few years, and Jeff's been working hard along with others. We have two other folks. One is Phil Wright, who is Medical Director of Physicians Health Plan. He's a member of our core group, our NIPRA, as we call it, Northeast Indiana Passenger Rail Association Board, and also Dr. Gary Reith, a dentist in town. I should mention also that this organization is literally part of Invent Tomorrow, a group that's been in Fort Wayne for a good decade. We are a division of Invent Tomorrow. I also want to give a big thanks to Vic Martin, who owns this particular building, who has poured $6+ figures into rehabbing this building, and also to Rich Davis and Justin Stalter at Downtown Downtown Improvement District, and Sherry Becker, who is the Executive Director of Invent Tomorrow. This press conference today is important, we believe, and we think many others will believe, for two reasons. First of all, because we want to point out that it is definitely possible at this time for passenger rail service to return to Fort Wayne, Indiana. Period. And the other reason why this is important is because we want to let all citizens in the Fort Wayne community and the greater Northeast Indiana area know that on April 3rd, 2009, that's a Friday, April 3rd at 4:30 p.m., we're going to have a rally for rail right here, and we're hoping to have a really good turnout. All of our state legislators are going to be invited, as well as federal and local officials. And that rally is really important. We want the people of Fort Wayne to get the word out to legislators that they do feel that we need to have passenger rail for Fort Wayne, Indiana. There's some key points I want to make with regard to rail. First of all, rail is real. Rail can really happen in Fort Wayne, Indiana. There are now $8 billion on the table as part of the federal stimulus bill for new passenger rail. That's in addition to an increased funding of Amtrak. Finally, the government is realizing that people crowd onto the current Amtrak trains and ridership goes up, literally skyrockets upward, that people want to ride on trains and not always ride in cars or fly in planes. So rail is real. Secondly, rail equals jobs. More rail in this area, passenger rail, will create more jobs. And by the way, anytime we talk about passenger rail, we always say we're pro-passenger rail, we're pro-freight rail. They need to grow together and evolve together in Indiana and in our country. And finally, rail is green. There's no question that rail service actually moves people something like 1/10 the amount of fuel consumption per passenger mile, a lot less fossil fuel consumption, and therefore a lot less air pollution. So there's good reasons in our current situation for rail, to consider rail as a very environmentally safe mode of travel. We can go into more detail about that. Right now I would like to go ahead and introduce again one of my colleagues who's going to go first here, Jeff. Let's go ahead and make some comments, Jeff.
Well, thank you, Tom. And I want to thank Tom Hayhurst as the chair of our effort for his leadership. And I also want to thank Fred Lanahan, who is here today. Fred's been working on this issue as well. I have had a passion for this, as some of you may know, for well over a decade when I was the governor's appointee for the Transportation Advisory Board. And we tried to bring this issue to the forefront back in the 1990s and early 2000s. But I must say that this is the first time I have been somewhat optimistic that, as Dr. Hayhurst says, Fort Wayne has a real possibility to seeing rail return here to the Summit City. And why is that? Because we have, for the first time now since this effort began, a President of the United States who's from a large city, who wants to see other cities like Fort Wayne connected to his city of Chicago. And we also have a Congress now who's more interested through the stimulus package, but also through the budget that's being formulated in Washington right now. We understand that the 2010 budget, which has been introduced and will be debated in Congress, has more funding, more incremental funding for Amtrak. So we are very optimistic about that. As you can see, we have a number of things to offer. First of all, this beautiful train station, which was renovated back about 8 or 10 years ago, is ready to go to work again and serve the people of Fort Wayne as it did for many years earlier this century. We're very fortunate to have a baseball stadium to open here in just 6 weeks across the street, which will help give us another reason to move people out and about and to help us with the renovated train station, the Harrison Square project, help to continue to revitalize downtown Fort Wayne. And as Dr. Hayhurst mentioned, jobs, jobs, jobs. I mean, look at the opportunities here for employment, not only with operating a station, running the trains, but the great corridor of possibilities here between Fort Wayne and Chicago that we can be working on. And I'd just like to say one more thing to that effort, and pardon me, because I only got out of bed this morning for one reason. I can tell you, that's my passion for this issue. You can tell I'm a bit under the weather. But I do want to state one thing. This effort is not in competition with our airport or with our air service. We believe that train travel to Chicago will take traffic away from US 30 and perhaps the toll road. But we do not believe that this is an effort to take travel away from our airport. I happen to use our airport 5 or 6 times a year. It's a beautiful airport. It's a first-class airport. We want to make sure that that continues to grow and serve individuals that are traveling to further destinations. But the Chicago corridor, we think, is important not only for passengers, but also for economic development. And so we look forward to continuing to work on this effort with help coming from Washington. And I think, Fred, you've got a couple of things that you'd like to say in this regard. So.